Hello, fellow historians. Welcome back to another episode of Driving and the News for this Documenting History channel. The purpose of this channel and the reason this channel exists is to document history for future generations. Now, I know this is not the most exciting type of video or entertaining type of video, but I do feel that it's important to document our history by uploading local snippets of the daily activities and the local news that occur here in the New York Metropolitan area. And I'll give you a for instance real quick. In about 4 minutes, we're going to start the news. You can fast forward if you want to. But just want to explain a little bit about the channel. A lot of people said that, well, you know, the internet has the news. You know, you can go in and do a research on a big event that may have happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and that is true. However, what I find interesting is when I watch videos that have been recorded 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, maybe something that somebody recorded with their 8mm or whatever the old cameras we used to use back in the 70s and 60s. And if there's a radio station playing and you either hear the music from that time or a news snippet from that time, there's this nostalgic feeling of listening to it being broadcast in real time, as opposed to finding it on the internet and listening to the clip. Because when you're watching it on a video and you're watching what's going on the screen in front of you, you're seeing what's actually going on that day in that place. So you get to see all the cars from that time, you get to see all the buildings that were around in that time, and you get the local flavor of that time. So there's a lot of news stories that you'll hear on this channel that will never make it to the big news outlets, like local neighborhood stuff that goes on, whether it's a feel-good story or a horrible story. So that's one of the reasons that I've been doing this. So this is actually, let's see, I started this in April. April 29th, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. April, right? Yeah, April, May, June, July. So we're about 4 months in, 3-4 months in. My math is horrible right now. It's early in the morning. I didn't have coffee. Well, right now it's 6:58, and we're going to start the daily news at 7 in the morning. But I wanted to give a lot of newcomers a quick synopsis of what we're doing here with this channel. There's a few of you that have watched already the videos that are here, so I thank you so much for those views. I recommend that you subscribe, become a historian early on. We only have 7 subscribers, and I don't say only, but what I mean in terms of what people will deem a successful YouTube channel, right? I mean, I'm appreciative of my 7 subscribers, believe me. 1 subscriber that's watching the video is enough for me to keep it going. So yeah, we have 7 subscribers. So I don't call you subscribers, I call you historians. I have 7 subscriber historians so far on the channel. So you can get in on the ground floor. Hopefully, you know, the channel will grow. We want to make as many people aware of this channel in the local New York metropolitan area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. Let them know that this channel exists. We started doing this April 29th of this year, 2024. And here's the news, the 7 o'clock headlines.
Skies high around 82 degrees. More people get their news from 1010 Winds than from any other radio station in the nation. Sharon Barnes-Waters, our service aide. Walter Geis, our senior writer. Phil Pilato at the editor's desk. And I'm Scott Stanford.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good morning, 68 degrees. It is 7 o'clock on this Monday, July 29th. I'm Susan Richard. Here's what's happening. 1 person killed, 2 others wounded in a shooting outside the migrant shelter on Randall's Island. Our Glenn Shuck coming up. 3 women stabbed in 2 incidents in Manhattan and Queens. Trump on the stump in New Jersey and Minnesota, and Harris raising some big bucks. The latest on the presidential race coming up. Word now that officials spotted the young man who tried to kill Donald Trump at that rally site in PA more than an hour and a half before the attempted assassination. And have you cast your vote?
Our K-9 debates are never going to get embroiled in campaign finance violations.
Well, they will, however, go potty in public. The race for dog mayor of New York is underway. In sports, Yanks won, Mets lost. AccuWeather, clouds and sun, more humid today, chance for a shower, and a high of 82. West News Time 7:01, traffic and transit. Here's Karen Stewart.
In the Bronx, the northbound Hutchinson Parkway at exit 6 for East Lincoln Avenue in Mount Vernon. We have an accident there. It's only on the shoulder, but the lanes go back to Route 1. So we've got slowdowns into the area, that's for sure. Nothing on the southbound side. In Queens, the northbound Cross Island Parkway, approaching the Throgs Neck Bridge, has it disabled. 1 lane is blocked there. We've got slowdowns that go all the way down to the LIE. We've got westbound LIE delays into Springfield Boulevard from back at Lakeville Road. And then we've got more traffic traveling from Casino Boulevard into Woodhaven Boulevard with a very small traffic backup on the westbound LIE approaching the BQE West. The BQE West is delayed now from 58th Street to Kosciuszko Bridge with slowdowns into Atlantic Avenue. So next, we're going to check the Hudsons. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. It is 20 in the GW Bridge, and from all the alternates to 8095. The Palisades, Route 446, all 15 to 20. The inbound Lincoln is 25 minutes. The inbound Holland is 30 minutes. And Mass Transit is all running on or close to schedule. Traffic is sponsored by your Odyssey Lottery Recap, which is presented by Jackpocket. Powerball's now 144 million. Mega's 331 million. Order official state lottery games on your phone. Must be 18 or older to play. If you have a gambling problem, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. From the Farmers Dog Traffic Center, fresh human-grade dog food delivered right to your door. I'm Karen Stewart, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
There was a fatal shooting overnight outside the migrant shelter on Randall's Island.
There is a citywide manhunt for the 2 suspects involved in the shooting that happened 3:30 this morning. One of the crime scenes here right underneath the RFK Triborough Bridge in the field on Randall's Island. 2 men, 1 woman shot, all 3 taken to Harlem Hospital. The 44-year-old woman died after being shot in the face. Now stable at this point, expected to survive. The 32-year-old man shot in the throat. The 34-year-old man shot in the back. 2 suspects, men, fleeing, one by moped, another by car that had New Mexico plates. What isn't clear at this point, the victims of the shooting, if they were residents of the shelter or not. Glenn Shuck, 1010 Wins, 92.3 FM on Randall's Island.
3 women stabbed in 2 separate incidents in the city. This was last night when a 23-year-old was stabbed multiple times inside the mezzanine of the Jamaica Van Wyck subway station in Richmond Hill. That was at 8:30 p.m. Separately, 2 hours later, 2 women were attacked outside a bar on the Bowery in Manhattan. In each incident, a person of interest is being questioned. A man was arrested at the Myrtle Avenue subway stop in Bushwick. That's when police say they found him asleep with a loaded gun in his lap. It was on the subway staircase. So far, no ID on this guy, but cops say he's somebody they have dealt with before. The New Jersey State Attorney General now taking over the probe into a fatal police shooting in Fort Lee.
According to a preliminary review, 1:25 a.m. on Sunday, a man called 911. He said his sister had a knife and she was having a mental health crisis. Officers responded to the Pinnacle apartment complex and spoke to the 911 caller in the hall. 2 women in an apartment would not let police enter. The Attorney General's office says as police breached the door, the distressed woman approached. An officer fired once, hitting her in the chest. Last year, a similar case in Fort Lee. Police shot and killed a man in crisis. He was holding a knife. The officers were cleared. Sean Adams, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Fort Lee.
A Brentwood man is looking at animal abuse and abandonment charges now for allegedly leaving his dog in a vacant building. Henry, the pit bull, was found emaciated with his spine, ribs, and pelvis bones all protruding. That's when he was rescued and taken to a local animal shelter. Suffolk SPCA Chief Roy Gross says that could have been avoided.
You shouldn't have an animal if you're not going to take care of it. Or if you have an animal and then you find later on that you can't handle it, turn it in. You're not facing any charges. Just bring it to a shelter, bring it to a rescue.
23-year-old Dante Meade has his first court appearance on August 9th. New York City upping its game in the war on rats.
Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr., the top entertainers in Las Vegas, known as the Rat Pack.
Ain't that a kick in the head?
Ain't that a kick in the head?
the creation of Mayor Adams to fight the city's...
Sorry about that, guys.
You don't need to say...
Ain't that a kick in the head?
New York City Rat Pack member and get...
As soon as I said I was sorry about that, I did it again. I am one bad boy. Who's a bad boy? Who's a bad boy?
Volunteers who join the current Rat Pack will have to attend a 2-hour class.
We're on the iconic corner of Crooks Ave and Trenton. Wait, Crooks Ave and Getty Ave. We had deli. We had like a egg platter, you know, a deli place here on these corners.
New York City is opening a
We had the egg platter, and I don't remember the other one.
It'll be at 459 North Henry Street starting August 3rd, with hours on Wednesdays between 5 and 7 p.m. and then on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. This is through September. Apparently, the city has an excess of compost, and so they're opening a second location from the first one on Staten Island. The compost will be available for free. Another New York City icon is closing its doors. After 40 years, the Neptune Diner in Astoria is going out of business. The reason? The landlord sold the land in 2018, and then the lease for the diner ran out the following year, and they have not been able to come to an agreement to keep the place. Apparently, the plan is to tear the diner down to make way for an apartment building. The diner's Michael Savides telling ABC7 they have to be out by this Thursday. 68 degrees. It is cloudy. The humidity 87%. The winds are calm. Mostly cloudy today, a more humid one. We're looking at a shower around this morning and then some afternoon thunder showers, and today's high 82. We are now less than 100 days away from Election Day, and the revamped race is focusing on who the new presumptive Democratic nominee will choose as a running mate.
Vice President Kamala Harris has only been a presidential candidate for 7 days. Now potential running mates jockeying to join Harris's ticket. From billionaire Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, out defending Harris. Vice President Harris is expected to announce her running mate by August 7th. That's when the Democratic Party is hoping to wrap up their formal nominating process.
That's correspondent Mary Alice Parks. The top contenders, Arizona Senator and former astronaut Mark Kelly, also Kentucky's Governor Andy Beshear, and possibly Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. The Harris campaign, meantime, says it has raised $200 million in just over a week since President Biden announced that he was dropping out of the race. They say 2/3 of that came from first-time donors in the 2024 cycle. Over the weekend, Donald Trump held a fundraiser in New Jersey and was on the stump in Minnesota.
Former President Trump took aim at his presumed political opponents Saturday in front of a packed arena in St. Cloud. She's a radical left lunatic. It was a 180 from the calls for national unity by Trump after his attempted assassination just 2 weeks ago. As the vice president rallies support across the country, voter enthusiasm in both parties has skyrocketed.
We don't take anything for granted. That's why we're supporting Donald Trump as much as we are.
We beat Donald Trump the first time. I think we can do it a second time.
At Skylar Henry, a new ABC News Ipsos poll shows more people are liking Kamala Harris. Her favorability rating rose to 43% from 35 just a week ago. Among independents, it went from 28 to 44%. Turns out it wasn't 60 minutes before the attempted assassination of Donald Trump that law enforcement got word of the gunman. It was 100 minutes. That is the word from the New York Times, which says text messages reveal that just as his shift was ending, a local counter sniper who was part of the broader security detail let his colleagues know about a young man sitting at a picnic table near the building. That was at 4:26 p.m. Meantime,
the Beaver County SWAT team assigned to take up positions at the rally, speaking out, telling ABC News in an exclusive interview they had no communication with the Secret Service until after Thomas Matthew Crooks opened fire. That same SWAT team says they saw the gunman an hour before the shooting. But today, the Washington Post reports members of Trump's Secret Service detail have complained they were never made aware of that warning. The Secret Service declined to respond directly to the comments from Beaver County authorities, but said in a statement the agency is committed to better understanding what happened to ensure it never happens again.
That's Aaron Katursky. New info on one of the rally goers who was wounded.
James Copenhaver has been discharged from Allegheny General Hospital. The 74-year-old was one of 2 people injured during the shooting at the campaign rally on July 13th in Butler County, Pennsylvania. The other man, 57-year-old David Jake Dutch, was discharged last week. One person, Corey Comparatori, was killed. Former President Donald Trump was grazed in the ear. A procession and funeral service were held for Comparatori on July 19th.
Matt Piper reporting. Now this message, old car giving you problems, why not donate it? Call 1-877-CARS for kids today. Still ahead?
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Driving in the News. We'll see you on the next episode.